What's going on, everybody? This is your main man, Big Ivy, talking to town, Mr. DETVCH.com, and I'm here in the wonderful, wonderful workplace called The Mill. If you don't know anything about The Mill, go to themillspace.com, get a membership, tell them Ivan sent you and DETV and Shoshana sent you, and they will treat you like family. All right, but most of all, I want to tell you today, I'm really, really excited because it's another, is it easy to say, or can I say an election year? Like it's supposed to be an off election year?
Yeah, you can say election year.
Okay, we're going to say election year. I'm here with candidate Kathleen Davies, who is running for State Auditor. Welcome to Meet the Candidate. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Oh,
Good to meet you.
Oh, thanks for coming. Okay, Kathleen, first of all, why State Auditor?
State auditing has been my lifelong career. I've been working in state auditing since 1991, over 20-some years. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing auditing, all types of government auditing. Mm-hmm. I have government accounting background and not-for-profit background, and I've been doing investigations as well for my full career. Right. I have a lot of credentials. Yeah. They're important. They help me do the job, but it's meaningless unless you know how to do the job. Right. And I do have experience specific to Delaware. I've spent over 6 years as the Chief Administrative Auditor for Delaware, and I want to continue that as the number one person in that office if the Delawareans choose to elect me, and I hope they do. Oh,
I hope they do too. You know, let me ask you this. Tell people out there what the State Auditor, what they do. Because a lot of people, and we were discussing off camera, a lot of people, they don't know how government works, and they don't even know how state offices work. You know, so what does the State Auditor do? Okay,
so first, in general, most states have at least one independent audit shop. This isn't internal auditing. That would be done under the governor's office. Mm-hmm. This is independently either elected or appointed, and in Delaware, you elect your state auditor, and this is the first time in about 30 years you have an opportunity to get a brand new state auditor. The one that was in office for a while is no longer running. Right. So it's made this campaign very exciting. We have a three-way Democratic primary, and we're talking a lot about what has the State Audit Office done? What are the mandates? We can talk about that, but more importantly, what are the potential too for the State Audit Office? If you know how to do particular types of audits, there's a lot of potential because basically we are able to audit things that deal with money coming into the state, including money coming from the feds through the state and going to different agencies, departments, not-for-profits, private companies, contracting. Right. So it's an in and out process. Right. It also deals with programs. Okay. Sometimes we look at federal programs and the regulations if they're federally funded, or we may look at programs that are sponsored within the state of Delaware. A lot of compliance work as well, and grant agreement and contracting work. One of the best parts about government auditing is this thing called performance auditing, where you look at the processes and you look at how something's done and you try to make recommendations for improving the process. Right. So where some people think that government auditing and state auditing is just about cutting money, cutting programs, and that's not the case.
And that's what a lot of people think. They think like, that program was cut because all these programs was cut.
Necessarily, we're not always going to come in and say cut the program. We may say you may need more funding, or you're not using that money in the most efficient or effective way possible. We want to try to find ways to make programs better. Right. And we also deal with issues of safety and well-being, and that's little known to people. Okay. That's also an important part of government auditing and our profession. Right. So if there's observations about safety and well-being, those are sort of the no-brainer kind of thing. Right. In a lot of cases, it doesn't even necessarily involve money that we can make recommendations.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because like when you hear it talking and when you're watching right now, like you're so passionate about like numbers. Like, where did that come from?
That's a good question. I'm passionate about numbers, but I'm also I love to talk to people, and my mother always said I love to teach my siblings keeping them busy. I used to play teacher. So there's a combination there where I like numbers, but I also like abstract reasoning. And that's the process part of me. So if I were to sit in an accounting office day by day and it's an important function, that's not likely to keep me as engaged as auditing. It takes a particular type of person to really enjoy that. And then the other piece of it is for government auditing, you have to have a strong desire to be a public servant. Yeah. There is, even in government auditing, you can be a CPA working in a firm and come in and contract and do audits, make a lot more money doing that. Right. But there's something missing. Right. And it's that helping people, the performance audit part, the making improvements, or getting a tip and trying to help somebody. Yeah. Sometimes we'll drop down and do things that are specific to an individual. We may even do that. For example, sometimes state employees aren't properly paid. Right. We've done work on union contracts where they weren't abiding by their contracts, or they weren't paying proper overtime or abiding by legislation. And we've come in and taken care of that as a result of one person coming to us, find out there's a lot of people that weren't properly paid. Right. And those we're not even going to wait to open up an audit. We're just going to come in. It's like I said, it's sort of something that you just naturally move through and try to fix it, because audits are very expensive. Yeah. And if you can get that fixed a little bit earlier and you're still following the standards, then that's a good thing. Right. That's a win.
You mentioned public service, being a servant, and that's my whole thing, is like being a servant first. Like what organizations or things have you done that showed service?
Okay, so I've always, as I said, my background was quality control, and I have to stay up on things and follow that. I've volunteered my time in professional organizations nationally in the profession of auditing and investigating, and I volunteered my time to do we have competitions, auditor competitions on performance audits out there, and so I always volunteered my time, and the purpose was to move that profession forward and make us evolve and become better. I also am working with a not-for-profit group where we deal with federal, state, and local investigators and auditors, and we do training, and we do it at a very reasonable cost so we can get the best training out there. We get people from all over. I dedicate some of my time, as well as training. I'm very free with my training, and I want to help people do a better job. The fire companies, the tax ditches. I did that while I was on the job, and I'm willing to do that now and help anybody out, get them pointed in the right direction. A lot of this campaigning's been very good for that, trying to get people pointed in the right direction.
And this is, and speaking of campaigning, this is your first campaign?
It is my first campaign.
What made you just say, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pull the cord.
I believe that it's an opportunity for the state of Delaware right now. This is a really important point. As I said earlier, we're going to have a new state auditor for the first time in 30 years.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
In 30 years, laws have changed, things have changed.
Well, and it's, the elected official is the one that determines where the resources are deployed and what areas you look at and how the office appears. Someone said to me, what's the mission statement? And I said, well, I won't have a mission statement until I come in. And they didn't realize that even state audit organizations, just like companies that start up, have mission statements. We have mandates that we have to follow, but we will have a mission statement. Nice. Part of what I'd like to do is get the public involved in that mission statement.
Awesome. Let's talk about your credentials. What gives you the right to say, hey, I'm going to be state auditor?
I don't have the right to say that. The actual people that elect me have the right.
Good answer.
I will be the public servant, but I can tell you about my background.
Okay.
So my background is, when I started in the 90s, first thing out the gate, you get your certified public accountant certification. You have to get your experience that goes with that. So I did all of that, worked in the traditional financial auditing, and then when we were on off-peak, then we would do performance auditing, budgetary, did a lot of budgetary auditing, investigation, so on and so forth. Then as time went on, there was this discussion about there's no longer paper trail. What used to be a paper trail, so the systems became bigger and more complex. And we went to some very complex systems whenever I was in Pennsylvania. So I got the Information Systems Auditor. That's the CISA designation. And I was a hybrid, because normally you're stuck with either financial or you came over here and went to IT. We
Right.
combine the procedures.
Okay.
So there are some cases where you're looking for things 100% of the time when you're looking for those automated controls. If they're effective, you want to look for them every single time.
Right.
The other certifications, actually, as I moved up and was promoted, early on I got my certified government financial manager. Then I actually sat with people in Pennsylvania, encouraging them to obtain the certified government audit professional. And some people said, well, why would you want to do that? What if you don't make it and your underlings make it? And I said, well, then I'll just prove that I'm going to stick with it and take the test, because as you start moving up, you put a lot of hours in.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I did pass. But it was a lot. It was great. It was great sitting in the room and working with everybody, encouraging everybody.
Right.
And then I also have my certified fraud examiner. So those are all important things. They're important credentials. But again, until you apply that and learn it and learn different ways to use it. And also, it's been helpful going out and visiting other state audit shops.
Right.
And I do a quality review there. I belong to that group nationally. And so that's been good to compare and contrast, get ideas, and you build networks.
That's a hell of excuse me. Can I say that's a heck of a track record. That is like amazing.
Thank
like and the reason I say that is, like, I meet a lot of people, and just to hear their different backgrounds and how they became who they are is just like, you get older, you're like, it's true, you get older, you get wiser. And I'm just like, wow, like this person did this and this, and when you look at your track sheet, it's like everything is steady. It's all about like auditing. It's focused. It is definitely focused. Yeah. One of the things I heard you talk about is the office. Like the office, the goals of the office.
Right.
And a lot of people are probably wondering, what's that? So what are the goals of the office?
The goals of the office, number one, your eyes and your ears are always your first line, your entry level that comes in, and they actually come up with, they see things differently, they bring things to you. But first we've got to get that fully staffed. And that's been, when I came in, there was a lot of vacancies, there was a lot of turnover from top to bottom. Nationally, there was like number 1, number 2, number 3 in turnover. Came in, we got that stabilized, and we're getting more positions and getting the right mix. And now there's been a lot of attrition again. Mm-hmm. There have been salary increases. There's potential salary range there, and the appropriations are there. But keeping the talented staff, getting them in and training, and that's
which is
really
very important. Yeah,
it's very important. And it's not something like, even at the upper level, a lot of times you have to bring them up through the ranks. That's important to do that, so that they have both the institutional knowledge and the legislative knowledge, and they know the accounting system for the state, so on and so forth. And also have the experience in what we're doing, because we're pretty broad-based for such a small shop. It's a small shop.
Now, how many people's in the shop?
The complement right now, I believe, is about 29, not counting the political appointees. There's 2 political appointees positions, and so that's round about the complement. But they're not fully staffed right now.
Gotcha.
So that's very important.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, that doesn't mean that there can't be work done.
Right.
As we're working on that, there's plenty to be done, and that's the benefit of having somebody that knows how to do the work. I can get in. You see
that punch you just threw in there?
I can get in there. I can, when people are talking about topics, like my mind starts to click about an audit program, what we call an audit program. How are we going to do this? How are we going to get at the data? How are we going to do data integrity? And I go home, take these notes. I've got tablets from things that have come up, issues that have come up. I'm learning a lot from people. I'm going out and talking and campaigning, and I think it's very exciting. I've had a lot of, we'll go to like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then we're staying and we're there talking with people that have a really strong interest in auditing in a particular area. They want something looked at in Delaware. So it's very important. There's a lot of simple things too that could be done. Delaware has a checkbook online. I think if people are going to use it, rely on it. Reporters are going to use it. Researchers. You want to make sure it has data integrity. You want to do some auditing, make sure that things are properly categorized, and there's enough transparency there. So instead of inventing something new and paying more money, this has been a very expensive tool for the state to put in, and we don't want to put more burden on the employees of the state. Let's work together to try to leverage that up. Get
that team together, go and win a championship.
Wherever possible, pull together and get it done.
And just get it done, right. So okay, now we got the team together. What else is it about the office that you want to make sure that's right?
Another area that's really important is we want fraud prevention. That's really the ultimate goal, and that's why I'm so passionate about training and supporting people. Now, we can't make management decisions or we lack our independence then. However, there are times where we are going to have to come in and do those gritty investigations. They're not, people may think that that's a pleasant thing. It is not pleasant, but it has to be done. That's part of that public service that's really important. And for every one fraud investigation we do, or any one area where somebody ends up getting, criminal charges, we're hoping it will deter others from doing,
Is there a lot of fraud that happens?
There's, statistically in the United States, yes, there's a considerable amount of fraud. It doesn't all get reported. For various reasons, and it doesn't always get reported both in the public sector and the private sector. There's a lot of fraud that goes undetected. And it's a particularized skill set, and you got to balance between that skepticism where you look at things closely enough and you know what the red flags are, as opposed to being overly sort of paranoid. So you've got to have that right balance. And one of the things is when you get a tip, sometimes it's sour grapes. There's a lot of people out there that they, for one reason or another, they're mad at their neighbor, whatever. And so they're calling something in and it has no validity. So you don't open up things, you don't go after people unless there's enough substance there to move forward.
I hear you say words as integrity, transparency. Like, how important is that to you? Not to the position, but just to you.
So my number one calling or motivator is going to be following the professional standards, maintaining that integrity, people being able to depend on me, that I'm not going to be picking favorites, I'm not going to go to any particular, I'm not going to stand down, for re-election or for campaigns. We need to be unbiased. We need to take a look at things and do what's called a risk-based assessment and go after what's important that way. It is very important. It is the core of my being. It's my professionalism. And, 20-some years, I'm going to put that 20-some years ahead of anybody's special interest every time. Gotcha.
So like me with another creative, I understand what it's like. Like, I play with the camera, you play with numbers. Like, it is just awesome to see that with someone that's running as a candidate, that's running for an office. Like, this is a passion of yours, and this is something that you really take seriously. And I don't want to put the other candidates on blast, so I'm going to ask you, what makes you different from the other candidates?
I believe it is my background. It is my commitment, and it's a career, a professional career trek for me. This is it. I mean, I wouldn't run for any other office. This is the office I will run for. Up until recently, where I filed as a Democrat, I've always been unaffiliated. And so in the office, for the independence and the work that we do, I think it's important for everybody, no matter what your party affiliation is or what your passion is, that you need to know that you have somebody out there that's going to represent and represent different perspectives. And we have a lot of needs. There's great things in Delaware, but there's a lot of work that can be done. And I want to make sure that there's a lot of money put into auditing in the state of Delaware. I want to make sure that we get, as best as possible, the use out of that money and some benefits. So some of the findings that have been out there for years and years, I want to make sure that we follow up and try to get some resolution on them. That's an unfortunate part. It happens in state auditing, and I think because all that money that was spent and they're continuing to roll forward and nothing's been done with it, I want to get in there and see what we can do to open up a dialogue and get those things resolved. So it's not just the auditing and resolving the audit problems and the issues there. It's also sitting down and having conversations with people to see how we can get some things changed, or maybe change the finding. If they bring more information and we do root cause analysis, we might find that there's even a better way. So we'll move forward. Wow. Everything's always changing.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you think that people need to know about you as a person, as the number one super auditor?
I I think that I'm going to come out and try to get to know people.
Right.
And I hope that if anyone's interested, that they'll contact me or have me out to groups and speak.
Okay.
I'll talk about the office, and I'm also willing, if there's anybody that needs any training on internal controls or not-for-profit.
Oh, wow.
I'd be happy to do that as well. I'm sort of missing that these days. Because I do enjoy doing that part of what I do.
Awesome. Is there a website, Facebook page people can find you on?
Yes, it's Kathleen Davies, or K Davies for State Auditor.
Okay.
.com.
Awesome. Well, it's your main man, Big Ive. Kathleen, thank you so much for spending time and space with me, and crazy Shoshana behind the camera. Love her. This is your main man, Big Ive, DETVCH.com. If you have any questions pertaining to anything that you've seen, put it in the comments below. Myself, or I will forward them to you, Kathleen, and Kathleen will give you an answer as well. If there's anything, no, what else is it? DETVCH.com. Go to the website, check it out. Positive news, positive entertainment, the new network for Delaware. And let me ask you this before we leave. What do you love about Delaware? Or what do you like about Delaware?
I love the people.
Awesome.
I love the people.
See, and is it safe to say you're an implant, like from Pennsylvania?
Came here in 2010.
And just love the people.
I love the people, and I'm committed to it.
Yo, that should be like your slogan, like, I love the people. I'm committed to it. It's your main man, Big Ive, DETVCH.com. We'll see you on the other side.